Hi there, very good morning. Welcome back to ET Now. You're watching the Market Cafe with me, Kanishka Sarkar. Over the next 1 hour, we'll take you through all the global and domestic cues that you must watch out for and also tell you about the stocks that you must keep on your radar today. But first up, let's get started with an eye on the globe and see how Wall Street fared last week. And US stock futures, they're largely unchanged, very steady moves over there. This after another strong week on the Wall Street. This is investors turn their attention this week to Federal Reserve's meeting. Dow futures, they're up just about 35 points, whereas futures tied to S&P 500 and Nasdaq, they inched about 0.1% higher. Now, the major averages, they're all coming off their second straight positive week. The Dow gained about 0.5%, the Nasdaq rose about 0.9%, whereas the S&P 500 that also added about 0.3%. That's leaving it at less than 1% from its all-time intraday high. So yes, positive moves over there. Now both S&P 500 and Nasdaq, they also closed out Friday with a 4-day winning streak, while Dow that advanced in 3 of the past 4 sessions. Now remember, markets did get a lift on Friday after September's delayed core PCE inflation reading came in softer than expected. So that offered some reassurance ahead of the final policy meeting this year, that is in this week. Expectations for a rate cut have climbed very sharply, with futures now pricing in roughly about 88% chance of a decrease in the rate cut. This, while the headline decision will draw attention, investors are equally focused on the Fed's updated economic projections and any signals on future leadership dynamics. So there's no major economic data due, that is today, though the New York Fed's Consumer Expectation Survey that will be released, so we'll watch out for that. On the earnings front, traders will watch for results from Costco, Broadcom, Oracle and Adobe later this week. So yes, all eyes on that. Now, that's about the Wall Street, but let's also put the spotlight on what's happening on the commodities front. Well, oil prices, they are very steady today. In fact, near the 2-week highs last week, with Brent just under $64 a barrel, whereas WTI is near that $60 a barrel mark. This while traders are trying to balance geopolitical tensions with oversupply worries. Now, remember, India's continued buying of Russian crude is also in focus, especially after Putin has promised uninterrupted fuel supplies, which is a key point ahead of the US trade talks in New Delhi, that is in India this week itself. At the same time, Ukraine's attacks on Russian energy infrastructure, including CPC Black Sea terminal, they have tightened physical crude supplies and added support to prices. However, concerns of a global glut with rising output from OPEC+, the US, Brazil and Guyana are keeping gains capped. Market direction now hinges on fresh outlooks from IEA, EIA and OPEC this week itself. Analysts are saying that oversupply may eventually dominate, but Brent for now is drifting towards $60 over the next year. So yes, that's about how oil fared. In fact, if you take a look at how gold is doing, the yellow metal also doing pretty well, very steady moves over there, holding just about 0.3% gains over there, above that 4200 an ounce level. So yes, that's how the commodity world is faring. But now, time to take a look at some of the top global stories that we are tracking this morning, and let's start with what's happening with the Fed. Now, key Fed-tracked inflation gauge, the core PCE, that has eased to 2.8% in the month of September in the US. That's slightly below expectation, reinforcing bets on another rate cut this week itself. Personal income, that has risen about 0.4%, while spending edged up 0.3%. That's signaling steady but cooling demand. Moving on, now let's talk about tariffs. Now, Trump has doubled down on his defense of unilateral tariff powers, arguing that the current system under Supreme Court review is faster, more direct and essential to the US national security. He claimed that tariff speed and certainty were key to resolving global conflicts, even asserting that settled 8 wars in 10 months. That's because of executive authority. Now, Trump has insisted that if foreign governments believed these presidential powers were illegitimate, they would have challenged them loudly, framing the debate as a test of the US strength and global credibility. Moving on, let's once again talk about macros. Now, US Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent says that the economy is heading for a solid finish, predicting 3% real GDP growth and calling the holiday season very strong. Now, he has argued that consumer gloom stems more from media narratives than economic reality, noting that the growth has hit 4% in the recent quarters and could reach 3.5% in the third quarter. quarter itself. As inflation cools to 3%, West has pushed back on criticism of the administration's economic stewardship, blaming lingering Biden-era pressures and insisting that the US is shifting from scarcity to prosperity despite voter frustration. Moving on, let's talk about energy now. Now, a breakthrough in the Ukraine war may be within reach, with the US voice saying that a peace deal is really close and now hinges on just two unresolved issues: the status of the Donbas and control of the Zaporizhia nuclear plant. That's calling the casualties on both sides horrific. Kellogg said that negotiations are in the last 10 meters, always the hardest stretch. His comments follow leaked US proposals and fresh talks involving Steve Witkoff and Jared Kushner, as Moscow signals that drift elements have already been split into 4 negotiating tracks. Moving on, let's talk about the world of entertainment. Now, Netflix has detonated the media landscape with a $72 billion deal to buy Warner Bros., Discovery's film studio, and HBO Max. It's a move that would give it control of more than half of the global streaming market. But while the agreement came together at a breakneck speed, the regulatory road ahead may be anything but. Now, the Trump administration is already viewing the merger with heavy skepticism. Senator Elizabeth Warren is demanding an antitrust probe, and the DOJ is expected to dig deep into competition risk, pricing power, and market dominance. Now, Netflix, meanwhile, expects approval to take 12 to 18 months of time. Moving on, let's shift focus to Japan, which has accused Chinese fighter jets of dangerous radar targeting against its military aircraft near Okinawa, prompting a formal protest and sharp warnings from Prime Minister Sanae Takaichi. Defense Minister has also vowed a calm but firm response, as Australia also voiced deep concern. Meanwhile, China has rejected Japan's claim, saying that Japan's aircraft repeatedly disrupted its carrier-based training east on Miyako Strait. Moving on now, India and the United States, they are all set for a packed diplomatic and trade week with a 3-day talk expected to begin Wednesday, as both sides push to lock in a framework trade deal by end of 2025. Deputy USTR will lead the US delegation with an aim to stabilize ties, expand strategic cooperation, and also deepen tech and space partnership. My colleague Sumita Karir is here to take us through all of the details.
That's right. After a packed week with the Russian President Vladimir Putin, this week it seems is all going to be about two key visits from the United States. Well, let's talk about the first visit. It's going to be a visit by a negotiating team from the United States who are going to be in India for 3-day talks on trade, on the trade deal on which both India and the United States are working on. This team will be led by Deputy USTR Rich Switzer. This team will be meeting India's Commerce Secretary Rajesh Agarwal, and the talks are likely to begin from December 10th. However, this round is not formal. This is what sources are telling ET now. Now, this even as both the sides are hopeful of signing a framework deal by end of this year, even as focus and talks on multiple tranches is happening simultaneously. However, the focus is on a package deal that can address concerns of both the sides, including oil and reciprocal tariffs. And this trade deal is nearing completion. The second part of the PTA, well, that is going to take some time. The second visit is going to be by U.S. Secretary of State for Political Affairs, Alison Hooker. She will be visiting India from 7th till 11th December, even as the United States is making efforts to stabilize ties with India. In fact, in the past as well, we have recently signed a 10-year defense pact with the United States. We've also increased our energy imports, oil imports from the United States. This besides, of course, oil PSU signing a 1-year agreement with US to import LPG. What's going to be on the agenda of Ms. Hooker? Well, deepening economic and commercial ties, increasing US exports is going to be focused on exploration in the domains of AI and space. She will also be meeting with the ISRO. She will be meeting with leaders from India's tech and space, along with the energy sectors. Now, this becomes that much more significant because just last week, President Putin was in India. Russia and India signed key MOUs in the space of energy, space, fertilizers, agriculture, payment interoperability, trading in domestic currency. And of course, there was an understanding that we need to conclude the FTA between India and Eurasian countries. However, as far as that particular visit is concerned, the Prime Minister stated in no uncertain terms that for energy security, Russia is going to remain a key pillar. So, of course, the US needs to sort of balance its interest with India, keeping that in mind. Well, as far as the trade deal is concerned, the Commerce Secretary Ike stated a couple of weeks back that it's only a matter of time before this decision is taken and eventually a political call needs to be taken.
Okay, Samita, thanks for taking us through that. So yes, all eyes are going to be on the India-US trade deal that we've been talking about. And yes, the first package is expected to go through and have talks around that this week as well. But shifting focus and talking about the world of sport and Formula One, Lando Norris soaked up the pressure for nervy Abu Dhabi Grand Prix to finish on the podium and in turn secure the F1 Drivers' Championship for the first time, ending Max Verstappen's 4-year reign. The British driver finished third in the season closer behind race winner Verstappen and the other title challenger, McLaren teammate Oscar Piastri, to claim the crown by just 2 points. Norris becomes Britain's first World Championship driver since Lewis Hamilton in 2020, with this 13th driver's crown for McLaren, coincidentally twinning with the team colours this morning. But yes, it's the first World Championship coming in for Lando Norris last evening. Then let's keep it with sports. And Hyderabad Royals pulled off the comeback of the season, roaring back from 0-2 to stun Chennai Super Warriors and clinch the first berth in the IPBL Grand Finale. Now, Megan Fudge flipped the script with a blistering singles, upset over unbeaten Ruzwan Reek before steering Hyderabad through doubles and clutched the grand rally to seal the tie of 4-2. Meanwhile, Mumbai Smashers kept their campaign alive with a nerve-scorching eliminator win over Lucknow Leopards. Guangdong dominated early, Lucknow levelled late, and a 4-point grand rally fell Mumbai's way to 21-18, sending them into the qualifier second, that is against Chennai. Now, AJI, all of this comes after a dramatic three-way tie forced a play-in where Mumbai edged Gurgaon and Bengaluru as well to grab the final playoff spot. Now, qualifier 2 between Chennai and Mumbai was underway at the press time. Well, let's also listen into what Times Group MD Vinny Jain said about the Pickleball League.
Now, you have obviously run a media company for years, but this is your first foray into sports. Why did you choose pickleball over all other sports?
Well, my experience of running a media company, I've learned to understand mass audiences and capture new trends as they happen. So I feel pickleball has a special quality. It has ease of playing, accessibility, and a low cost of infrastructure. And because of that, it has the potential to become a mass participation sport.
It's been an amazing league. Your vision of an apex professional league has been brought to life and to fruition. How do you feel today? You must be feeling so happy.
I'm very happy, very excited, and I would like to thank all the team owners, the players, the referees, the general managers, and everybody behind, my IPBL colleagues, everybody behind this game, which made this evening possible.
Now, season 1 is done. I'm sure everyone's been asking you this. What's in store next? Is there a season 2? What are the plans for season 2?
Well, today is like the first serve. And there's lots of plans. And besides the league, we plan to do a lot of local events. We'll tie up with local government and local federations. We want to launch tournaments in states, involve the schools and universities and colleges, and build the sport from grassroots.
Well, thank you so much, sir. Here's hoping that all corners of India keep on screaming game rally fire from here on out. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay, and where to watch? Catch all the live action of the Indian Pickleball League from December 1 to 7, 2025 on Zoom TV and Mirror Now from 2:30 p.m. daily. A 2-hour highlights package will air on DD Sports every night from 10 p.m. to 12 a.m. along with streaming on its OTT channel as well. In addition to TV broadcast, Pickleball Now, the world's first dedicated pickleball TV channel, available on CTV and digital platforms, will also showcase the league. Viewers in the Indian subcontinent can watch the live streaming of IPBL 2025 on the YouTube channels of Pickleball Now, Sports Now and Zoom. The matches will also stream live on Times Play, Times Network's flagship OTT platform, Tata Play and WeMovie and
All right, then, time now to slip into a very short break. We'll be right back with more news and updates on the other side. Hi there, welcome back to ET. Now you're watching Market Cafe with me, Kanishka Sarkar and Snehi Shah, and it's time now to take a look at how the Asia Pacific markets have opened up. And it's a rather mixed day coming in on the Asia Pacific front. First up, let's put the spotlight at Japan. Now, Japan's index are trading about 0.2% lower right now, close to that 50,380 mark. Now, this because Japan's economy has shrunk more sharply between July and September than was estimated. Now, in fact, data showed that the third quarter GDP fell at an annualized rate of 2.3%. That's actually worse than the economists were forecasting, and hence we are seeing a negative impact on the index. Now, if you talk about Hong Kong's Hang Seng Index, that's also trading in the red, 0.3% downtick over there, just holding on to that 26,000 level. On the other hand, we have Shanghai, that's trading in the positive territory, holding on to those 3,900 levels, up about just 0.1%. So yes, positive moves on the Chinese index. Now, if you talk about Australia's ASX 200, a downtick over there as well, 0.4% declines on the Australian index, ASX 200, 8,600 is the level where the index is holding. So yes, that's how the moves are looking. Kospi, on the other hand, South Korea's Kospi index, that's absolutely flat right now, but holding on to that shade of green and is trading above that 4,100 level. So yes, that's about the Asia Pacific front. Now, if you talk about Nifty, how we ended last week. Now, we did end above that 26,180 mark, but couldn't hold on to that 26,200 that we did touch during the week. So yes, that's about the moves as far as Nifty is concerned. For today as well, we are expecting a muted start in the red. In fact, 320 points of downtick is what the Nifty implied is suggesting. So yes, a very weak start is what we are penciling in for the Nifty, Snehi.
down is what the GIFT Nifty is implying. So let's see how that pans out for us. Given that we had a very good day of gain coming in on Friday, about slightly more than 0.5% higher on the Nifty, on the back of that policy action we saw coming in from the RBI's MPC. A 25 bips rate cut for the repo rate. So yes, that was something that the street took very well on Friday. But if you take a look at how the entire week panned by back home, the Lal Street cooled off after hitting fresh highs. The Nifty snapped its 3-week winning streak, dragged by aviation and healthcare, while small caps and mid caps ended in the red. IT surged as the week's top gainer, with all constituents closing in the green, while energy lagged for a third week. Auto and metal indices continued their upward momentum, but FMCG and pharma, they too slipped in the red. If we talk about benchmark indices, the Nifty and Nifty Bank ended absolutely flat, although Nifty 50 hit a record high that week. Snapped its 3-week gaining streak, and of course when we talk about aviation, it was Interglobe Aviation and the troubles that we're seeing around Indigo. So Interglobe Aviation was the top Nifty 50 loser along with Max Health. Nifty small cap also declined for the third consecutive week. Keynes Tech and Ola Electric Mobility, remember Keynes was under some deep pressure over the course of last week, and the last 2 or 3 days of the week gone by make big losses across those two counters for the small cap index. The Nifty mid cap index hit record high last week but closed in red. Hitachi Energy and Vori Energies led losses as well. If you take a look at the weekly returns, Nifty absolutely flat with a hint of a negative bias. Nifty Bank on the flip side, flat with a hint of a positive bias. The Nifty mid-cap did well for itself, up 0.7%, which was the small cap index. Major mayhem over there, another 2% cut on a weekly front. IT, top sectoral gainer like we spoke about, advanced for the 4th consecutive week. Wipro and Emphasis did really well. And also for the IT index, what also stood out, it hit its 5 high intraday in the week gone by, and all the constituents of the index closed in the green. So good run for IT. You had FMCG and metals that were slightly under pressure, and of course select names like Indigo and Canes were in focus on the back of some negative internal news flow coming in. But yes, that's a wrap on the week gone by.
That's right. So we did have a fairly positive week, except the concerns that we saw around healthcare. But yes, for now, we are expecting a weak start, a gap down start for the Indian markets. And which are the stocks that are going to be on the move today? Ashesha is here to take us through that list. Ashesha, good morning.
Morning, and first up, let's talk about Biocon, because big news came in over the weekend where the management said that they will be fully integrating its biosimilars arm, which is Biocon Biologics, into the parent, and as a result of this transaction, they are valuing Biocon Biologics at about 40,000 crore rupees. Management has also said that the full transaction is likely to be completed by March 2026, and remember, board has also approved raising of funds to the tune of 4,500 crores via YP. So on the back of this big deal that was announced, keep an eye out on Biocon, and of course more commentary from the management is also awaited today. Zomato, on the back of a block deal where undisclosed investor is looking to sell 0.5% stake in the company. Now the floor price of this has been fixed at about 289.5 rupees per share, implying 1% discount as compared to Friday's closing price, and the total transaction value of the block would stand at about 1,500 odd crores. So keep an eye out on Zomato as well. Perhaps we could see some bit of negative reaction on the back of this block deal. Fino Payments Bank, positive news because RBI has approved Fino Payments Bank's conversion into a small finance bank. So now they've received RBI approval for this, and hence it is a positive. Cochin Shipyard, on the back of an order win where the company said that they've signed a contract for 4 fully electric transverse trucks, and the total contract or the order size could stand anywhere between 250 to 500 odd crores. But it's not just Cochin Shipyard which will be in focus on the back of order wins. Several other companies have reported their orders. MTAR Tech, for instance, it has secured orders worth about 194 odd crores. This is in the civil nuclear power sector. Ashoka Buildcon, they've received additional order to the tune of about 447 odd crores. This is increase in scope of order for an existing project, and the total incremental cost of order stands at about 447 odd crores. So yes, several stocks in focus either on the back of news piece or on the back of order wins.
All right, thanks Ashesha for that list. But that's not all. We have another list of stocks that are going to be in focus today. Let's start with the HFCL. Now this one on the back of an export order win worth $72.9 million rupees. This is for supply of optical fiber cables. So yes, HFCL is going to be in focus on the back of this new order win. ICICI Bank yet again is going to be in focus. Positive news flow here. ICICI Bank's subsidiary ICICI Pru that arm has filed for an RHP. So yes, that's the one that's going to be in focus, and we'll watch out for how the stock reacts. Now, putting the spotlight on the auto sector, Landmark Cars is going to be in focus. This because it has expanded its BYD partnership and entered into the Pune market with a new showroom and a workshop as well. So all eyes on Landmark Cars as well. Next up on the list is Supreme Petrochem. Now this one because work at its Chennai plant has been temporarily halted due to heavy rains and heavy floods over there. So yes, a negative news flow here, and we'll watch out for how the stock reacts. Next up, another order win for Zentech. It has bagged a deal worth 120 crore rupees yet again from the Ministry of Defence. So yes, a very positive news flow here, over 100 crore rupees of an order win, and we'll watch out for how the stock reacts. And lastly, there is Delivery. Now this one has successfully tested its autonomous logistics drone in Dioria, and that paves way for its high-speed rural connectivity in India. So yes, Delivery is also going to be in focus on the back of this. Lots of stocks to watch out for, and we'll see how all of them perform.
Yes, lots of stocks to watch out for, but lots of events also to watch out for the course of the week coming. And let's talk about all the action back home this week, the second week of the month, which it means it's time for the AMFI data. Monthly SIP numbers will also be out. So watch out for that around the 9th or the 10th of this week. You'll also have the expiries at play, of course, but remember, Friday is going to be an important day to watch out for on account of macroeconomic data, because CPI numbers will be out on Friday, our inflation print. So watch out for that, along with the weekly forex forex data numbers that we get every Friday as well. So that's all the action back home. But if you take a look at the action expected overseas from the US, on the 9th, you have the JOLTS job opening, another important data point to watch out for ahead of the Fed's outcome meeting next week. You also have the two-day FOMC meeting, or rather, pardon me, this week. You'll have Fed's two-day meeting that also begins tomorrow, the outcome of which will be out on December 10. Is going to be late at night for us. December 11, initial jobless and trade balance data is something we'll be also seeing from the US. Other than that, from UK, industrial production on the 12th. From China, forex reserves is something we saw over the course of the weekend. Trade data numbers today, and PPI and CPI on the 10th as well. Japan, you'll have GDP numbers to watch out for today, so keep a close eye on that. PPI on the 10th of December and industrial production on the 12th. But if you shift focus and talk about some corporate action that's expected this week, today watch out for NACL Industries. The board is going to be meeting to mull fundraising, so keep a close eye on that. 11th December, you'll have Ashiana Housing Board that's going to be mulling fundraising as well. And remember, just rewind back to today, you'll have the newly listed Physics Wala. That company is going to be declaring its second quarter earnings. Recently listed IPO, so watch out for that earnings. And December 12th, you'll have Indian Oil Corporation that's going to be meeting to mull dividend. Bharat Rasayan will be trading X bonus in the ratio 1:2 and X stock split in the ratio 1:2, and bonus is in the ratio 1:1. So watch out for that. And Mrs. Bector's Food trading X stock split in the ratio 1:5. Other than that, two new IPOs opening for subscription today. That's Wakefit Innovations and Corona Remedies. So watch out for that. And well, you'll have big listings this week. Equis, Meesho, Vidya Wires, they're going to be making their D-Street debut on the 10th. So keep a close eye on that as well. Other than that, lots of commentary from Fed officials. You have BOE officials, Bank of Japan governors also going to be speaking at an event this week. So watch out for all of these cues to watch out for in the week coming.
All right, so lots of cues to watch out for. But on that note, we'll slip into a very short break. We'll be right back with more news and updates on the other side. Market Cafe with me, Kanishka Sarkar and Snehi Shah. And it's time now to put the spotlight on one of the aviation sector majors, that is Indigo, which has been a drag not just for the markets but otherwise for customers as well. Now, following days of major disruptions, air travel operations, they are rapidly stabilizing now across the country. Indigo, the airline that is at the center of this crisis, has shown steady operational improvement, that is, nearly doubling its flight count from 706 on December 5th to 1565 on December 6th, and projecting about 1650 on December 7th. This, meanwhile, DGCA has also intensified its scrutiny. The DGCA has granted the airline a one-time 24-hour extension for its comprehensive response against the show-cause notice issued on 6 December. Samir, my colleague, is here to take us through all of the details.
Almost 3 to 4 days after the Indigo fiasco, now the air travel operations across the country, it is now stabilizing rapidly after government intervention. Not just this, even Indigo flight operation is also now reviving. It is now reaching to a very stabilized kind of flight operations as per the flight operation of Indigo is concerned. So on 5th of December, Indigo operated just around 705 flights, but on 6th of December, they operated roughly around 1500 flights, and Indigo informed that by the end of 7th of December, they will be reaching to flight operation of 1650 number. So this means that they are recovering, they are moving steadily to stabilize the flight operations. Another important aspect is of refund and luggage, for which government has directed Indigo that the entire refund has to be done by 8 p.m. of 7th of December. So far, as per the information, Indigo has refunded 610 crore rupee, and luggage, 3000 luggage has been given back to the passenger, to their respective passenger. So that's the progress on this part. But another important aspect is that the reply of the show cause notice issued by the aviation regulator DGCA to Indigo management, specifically to Indigo CEO and Indigo COO. On this, both the officials, they have requested for a 24 hours of time extension, citing that the airline is now focusing on stabilizing the flight operations. It's a complex exercise and they need some additional time. DGCA has granted a 24-hour time extension. Now the final deadline is 6 p.m. Of 8th of December. DGCA has also clarified that no further time extension will be given. If the response is not given or the response given to the show cause notice is unsatisfactory, then some strict action might be taken against the officials. But as of now, the 24-hour time extension has been given.
Okay, thanks so much for taking us through that, Sameer. But let's also listen into what Jitendra Bhargava, the former executive director of Air India, had said about the disruption.
The government has moved gradually today, though belatedly, I would say, in getting on first, summoning the DGC, the Indigo official, which they've been doing it for the past 2-3 days, to try and bring a semblance of stability in the operation, which hasn't succeeded. It's natural that Indigo cannot mount the flights required because they do not have pilots, having been put in the total disarray. Now, you can't really reboot and say from tomorrow morning, I'll have my normal flight schedule being operated. They have bungled big way. Now, government, of course, has acted now, as I said, belatedly, in fixing the fares. Squeeze in capacity, increase demand, led to higher fares, astronomical fares, I would say, on all airlines. So government deserves credit, belatedly though, that they've come and fixed the fares. Passengers can no longer be fleeced. And this should be a message for all times to come.
All right, so that's all about the Indigo crisis, but let's move on and put the spotlight on the solar sector. In an exclusive interview, we caught up with the CMD of MSEDCL, Mr. Lokesh Chandra, on the entity's world record of solar pump installations. Let's listen into a slice of that conversation.
We were reviewing our targets for this current year. We realized that till March, we have to install at least 2 lakh pumps. So when we discussed with this, our field officers and the vendors, so they were mentioning that we will be doing more than 40 to 50,000 in a month. So once we got this feedback, we thought let's challenge ourselves, and we submitted the application for the Guinness Book record, which was initially a target of 35,000, and against that we planned for 60,000. In fact, I like to share that we installed, in fact, 54,000 pumps during this 30 days period.
All the 54,000 pumps that you actually installed, 45,911 is what got counted at the end at the world record.
During the process, what we had the quality check. So in some cases, we realized there are some photographs missing of the middle stage. So we said, no, we'll not submit these kind of cases because we should not get that rejection at their level. Because their process also says if there is a rejection of certain percentage, then they take a basically final figure, discounting that figure. So we never wanted to take a chance. So we uploaded around, I think, 45,911, which we were 100% sure. It's a great moment for us, and challenges, in fact, are there. But if you have a good team where all the officers, all the vendors are working in the sync, you can achieve whatever you want.
So, Mr. Chandra, what's the likelihood of this number being repeated on a monthly basis? Since you've mentioned by March you need to do 2 lakh. So do you think that in the coming months also we'll see a similar kind of run rate?
Definitely, because you have heard our Honorable CM mentioning that now remaining whatever 3.5 lakh pumps has to be completed in next year. So we will definitely try to break this record in next year.
So I do want to touch upon a few other factors when it comes to MSEDCL. One is, as the CM has announced, you're looking at demerging the non-agricultural and the agricultural entity. The agricultural one is where there is a big debt. So how will you ensure that that debt does not translate into some hidden costs for the industrial or the residential users, since that will become a listed entity now?
In Maharashtra, we have the highest load. At the same time, we have the highest agriculture load. So there is a component of cross-subsidy burden on the industries and other consumers. To take care of that, we have devised this scheme of aggregate feeder solarization, which is distributed renewable energy project of Mukhyamantri Saur Krishi Vahini 2.0, or you can say Kusum C program of Government of India, where what we are doing, we are shifting this load to the smaller size solar parks, which are being fed at the 11 kV level or 33 kV level of the substation to cater to the agriculture load. Now, once we do this, we will be having 100% shifting of the load. This ensures two things. One is daytime power supply to the farmers. Second is that whatever the losses in the system, when we are procuring the power from outside and bringing it to that particular load center, are there in the system, they will be not there. And
Okay, so that's the word coming in from MSC DCL. But on that note, we'll slip into a very short break. Be right back with more stock-specific news and updates on the other side. Hi there, welcome back to Market Cafe, and a lot of action is going to be seen in the primary market today. As many as 5 companies will be vying for investor attention this week as their respective IPOs open for subscription. Now, these 5 companies aim to raise nearly 14,500 crore rupees cumulatively. My colleague Ashesha is joining us on the show with more details about all of these IPOs. Ashesha.
Well, yes, big week coming in for the primary market. 5 big IPOs are set to open for subscription, and as you mentioned, they're looking to raise a cumulative of about 14,000 crores. Let's talk about them one by one. And first up is Corona Remedies, where it is a pharmaceutical company which is into development, manufacturing and marketing products in women healthcare. Now, it is looking to raise about 55 odd crores. It is a complete OFS, and the price band has been fixed in the range of 1,008 to 1,062 rupees per share. Apart from that, we also have Fit Innovations, which is looking to raise about 1,289 crores, part of which is OFS, and the balance is a fresh issue. Now, remember, it is a D2C home and sleep solutions company which is known for its high quality and affordable range of mattresses, furniture and other home decor products. So keep an eye out on this IPO as well. The price band is fixed in the range of 185 to 195 rupees per share. Shifting focus to Park MediWorld then, which is looking to raise about 920 odd crores. Again, a mix of OFS and fresh issue. It is looking to raise about 770 crores, and the balance 150 crores is OFS. It is incorporated in 2011, and it is a private hospital chain operating primarily in northern India region. Price band for this has been fixed in the range of 154 to 62 rupees per share. Let's talk about the fourth one then, Nephrocare Health Services. That one is looking to raise about 871 crores, again a mix of OFS and fresh issue. This, remember, provides end-to-end dialysis care through a wide network of clinics. So again, in the healthcare space, and we have seen a lot of IPOs within this space over the last few months, and the trajectory is likely to continue this week as well. ICICI Prudential Asset Management, the biggest of them all and the most spoken of them all. Remember, it is a subsidiary of the listed entity private sector bank ICICI Bank, and they of course provide life insurance services. Now this, remember, is a 10,000 crore IPO. Price band has been fixed in the range of 2,060 to 2,165 rupees per share. It will open on the 12th of December and it will close on the 16th of December. So yes, 5 big IPOs set to open for subscription this week, and all of them will get listed in the due course. So we'll see a lot of action in the primary market over the next few days.
All right, so lots of action expected in the primary market over the week. But moving on, let's yet again talk about Indigo and how this crisis is going to impact its financials. Now, JM Financial says that its March's cancellations were largely self-inflicted, triggered by poor planning during the shift to the new DGCA fatigue rules. But the airline, under forecast captain requirements, delayed promotions and ignored early regulatory warnings, forcing reactive fixes. Ishika is here to take us through the entire analysis.
Hi. So yes, if you're wondering how Indigo's sudden flight cancellations will show up in its numbers this quarter, it could be sharper than expected. So Indigo has built its stock story on 2 important pillars. Firstly, fast capacity growth and tighter cost control. So, but the last 2 weeks have been shaken both, right? These cancellations weren't triggered by weather or demand. They stem from poor internal planning during the transition to new pilot fatigue rules. And the government has stepped in hard. A DGCA investigation, show cause notices to the CEO and CEO. But operationally, the airline says that things could stabilize between December 10 to December 15th. But the financial hit is already baked in. And according to JM Financial, it expects a 4% dip in Q3 capacity in terms of ask due to reduced flying, and 8 to 9% earnings hit for FY26 even before any penalties. So that plus a higher permanent cost base because Indigo will now need more standby pilots, which will further push up CASK. So still that, with a 62% market share of Indigo, analysts believe that this is a near short-term brand damage and not a structural breakdown. So JM Financial has maintained a reduced rating on Indigo as well, signaling recovery but with a little pressure on Q3 earnings. Thank you.
Shika, thanks so much for taking us through that. So yes, all eyes are on Indigo. Remember, the payment or the repayment of the refund was supposed to conclude by 8 p.m. last night. So we'll try and check where that has reached. But shifting focus to Biocon, that is all set to fully integrate its biosimilars arm Biocon Biologics into the parent company. They have said that the move is aimed at creating a unified biopharma powerhouse. Ashisha is with us once again with all the details. Ashisha.
Well, yes, Biocon will be in focus on the back of that big deal that was announced over the weekend, where Biocon said that they will be fully integrating their biosimilars arm, which is Biocon Biologics, into the parent company, which is Biocon, the listed entity as of now. Now, this deal values Biocon Biologics, which is the biosimilars arm of Biocon, at about 5.5 billion US dollars, which translates to about 40,000 Indian rupees. Now, the company says that the move is aimed at creating a unified biopharma powerhouse, and as far as the timeline of this transaction is concerned, it is likely to be completed by March 2026. Now, additionally, Board of Directors have also approved fundraise to the tune of 4,500 crores via QIP. So, this is another aspect to this deal. So, keep an eye out on this. Now, apart from that, when we look at the contours of the deal, they said that they will buy out investors' stake in Biocon Biologics via a share and share swap as well as cash. Buyout transaction is valued at about 10,550 odd crores, which values the entire biosimilars arm at about 40,000 odd crores. So, yes, a big deal happening in the healthcare space. Keep an eye out on Biocon on the back of this news.
All right, so all eyes on Biocon then. But with that, we're completely timed out in this edition of Market Cafe. Snehi and I will take your leave, but don't go anywhere. The market will take all the action forward.
Association with SBI, the banker to every Indian.